Good morning and happy post Thanksgiving. Anyone dealing with the Thanksgiving blues? That's for Canada, of course. We do have a pretty good audience that is in the US as well. So I'm gonna put this on Instagram as well, which is a bigger US audience, but I feel like I need that. I feel like I need that Halloween sound to come on every time someone joins. That might be a bit much. Might be a bit much. But today I want to talk about fermented foods and digestion because I feel like it's an important subject, especially for those that are dealing with some digestive issues. And it's perfectly okay, especially at this time of year. I mean, I should say, especially at this time after the holidays, I wouldn't say it's okay on a regular basis around holidays because the issue is that at least for Canada, Thanksgiving just ended and now Halloween is coming up. And then those of you in the US, we have US Thanksgiving coming up. And then there's Halloween candy and then there's Christmas and then there's New Year's. So a lot of people deal with digestion issues on a regular basis and they think that, oh, I'll just fix it after the next holiday or the next birthday or the next, whatever it is. And we have these continual issues around digestion and bowel movements, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea. It's pretty well never ending. So that's why I think it's important to address these issues now and understand you don't have to deal with improper digestion on a regular basis. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. If you're watching in here with me, let me know. I'm over on instagram.com/DrewTadia. And those of you that are on Instagram, I have a much better setup. I've got a green screen. So on Instagram, you actually only see the green screen. You don't see the picture behind. But I'm not sure what the next step with Instagram is. I don't really do too many lives on Instagram anyways, but we do post on a regular basis. So if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can do that. Facebookers. And those of you that might catch this replay on later on, if you want to check out what we have going on Facebook, it's facebook.com/trueformlife. This is actually in one of our groups. This is in our CTP community. We're going to need to change that because it was initially Complete Truth Protein, and now we have a bit of rebranding here. So new True Forms Protein, which is vanilla flavor. So that's what we have going on today. Well, we got it in the background there too. Coming at you twice. Okay. So let's talk about digestion. And the reason I wanted to bring up digestion is because I feel like it's an important topic, again, especially at this time of year. Something that we can do to improve digestion is consider adding fermented foods to our diet. So fermented food offers good bacteria. And one of the biggest issues we have when it comes to digesting food or not digesting food is not having the proper gut bacteria to properly digest food. So we see it often in many different cases. Most people deal with digestion issues on a regular basis, and it's because of our food. It's because of the lack of quality food that we eat these days. It's because of the lack of quality food that's produced these days, and the less than when you go to the grocery store. The quality isn't where it used to be. So now we have less and less types of foods even to choose from. And on top of that, unfortunately, we don't usually choose the better types of foods. We look at price, for example. We don't usually look at brand name. We don't read ingredients. We look at the caloric value or the nutritional facts. Like we get that all the time. Like people say, "Oh, can I see the nutrition facts?" And I'm like, "How about I show you the ingredients?" And like, no, I'll look at the nutritional facts, please, because everyone's concerned about calories or fats or proteins in most cases. And that's why we designed True Form's vanilla protein is because we've been working with Complete Truth protein for years. And one of the first thing people ask when it comes to a protein supplement is how much protein is in it. But they don't consider all the other, like if you grab a conventional type of protein supplement, in most cases they're filled with horrible toxins. So, but we don't think of that. We think of how much protein am I going to get in a protein supplement. We don't consider how many toxins. That's what we should do. We should count the toxins, not the protein. So, I mean, that's the biggest issue. And that's why we designed our own protein supplements, because people would ask me what protein supplements I would suggest. And this was a number of years ago, mind you. Like, we got into the protein industry at least 8 years ago. And I was taking protein supplements for probably 10 years before that. So I knew every brand, I knew every ingredient, I knew every company, and understand that it wasn't as big as it is now. The protein industry kind of blew up because you can make really cheap quality products and sell them for a lot of money. And I had someone post one of theirs. They posted their protein, and then they posted the ingredients. The ingredients was literally this big of really tiny words, and they sold it for an astronomical price. And I don't know, like, they do a really good job of branding. I don't know how people would like not look at ingredients and just be like, okay, I'll pay way too much for that product. Good morning, Mom. If you guys are in here watching, let me know. I see there's a good number of you in here. So let me know if you're watching here live. Let me know where you're watching from. That'd be nice to know. Nice to know. And I'd also like to know who's taking a protein supplement. Don't worry, I'm not going to send you a message after and try to make you buy our product. That's not what we're about. We offer information. That's what we do. We offer information, and you make your own choices. And something that was a learning experience is that when we have our own. I just heard Bear scratching at the door. So it threw me off a bit. He's like, let me go for a walk right now. Sue says, yes, I am. Sue, good morning, Gloria. Sue's in here. Sue, yes, I'm taking. Sue, you just got some of ours. I meant to ask you how you're doing. How you doing with our product, Sue? You know what? The thing is, when we kind of started out, I was like, I didn't know sales. I didn't know business. I didn't know anything. So I thought I could change people's minds. Like here's a good quality product. This is why you should take it. And I'm like, and that wasn't a sales pitch. That was just like, your product is probably full of toxins, or they'll send me it. I'm like, oh, these are the reasons why you probably shouldn't take that. And it was really hard for me to figure, like, for me to like not understand that people won't change their mind. So if someone is obsessed about price, for example, and don't care about ingredients, don't care about quality, you can't change their mind. There's no way. Until, like, someone has to be ready to be like, oh, you actually offer clean ingredients. I'll pay more for this one because there's more value than the cheapest one on the rack, because the cheapest one has low quality ingredients, which means they're cheaper to buy and they're cheaper to manufacture. So you can go and buy really low quality products for less money. And if someone, his mind frame is just about money, you can't change their mind. So for me, when I was starting out, I was like, that product, this is what I'd be thinking. That product is harmful to them. Like, they think it's beneficial to them, but it's harmful without question, because I'd read the ingredients. And I would tell them. And then they'd be like, oh, all right, thanks. And I would be like, I was young and I'm changing the world. I want to help everyone. So I would go and tell them. And some people were offended. And it always, like, it's always mind boggling to me, like, how many people are offended when you tell the truth. It's like, don't tell me the truth. I don't want to know those things. Shut your mouth. So some people were offended when I told them facts about the product they were taking. So I kind of stopped doing that. And B, people were not ready to change their mind. They're not going to be like, okay, that's a great idea. I shouldn't take that. It's time to move on. So so that was me starting out, changing the world. Jen says so. Morning, Jen. Jen says so true. And Jen, Jen, we appreciate your help too. Jen often tells us how she recommends our products, and if you if you try to tell someone about a better quality product, they're not ready for it. There's a good chance they'll get offended. I actually had this conversation in another group with another one of our products, and I, I said, do you are they having trouble with sleep? And I said, well, have you tried different types of products? And like, oh, I try this product, and I was like, ooh, and I knew the name brand, and it's clear. So when you start going to the grocery store, this is the first thing people tell us is that when you go to the grocery store and you start to read ingredients, they're like, oh, it takes way too long to read ingredients. Like I don't, it takes me twice as long to get to the grocery store. And I'm like, don't you care about your body and health and what you're putting in it? And again, many people don't. So for me, it made a whole lot of sense to, yeah, you should take more time to read what you're buying and putting in your body. And then other people are like, no, I want to get in there as soon as possible and get out and not have to think about anything, which is what the grocery store thrives on. So that's why they put like gluten-free stickers on things that have no possible chance of having gluten in them. Or they put the companies that pay the most, they'll pay them extra money for shelf space. So if it's right in your eye level, grocery stores charge extra for those spaces. So it's less thinking like, oh, it's right there. I don't have to reach up to the top or I don't have to go down to the bottom. Those companies are usually smaller companies that can't afford to pay like those companies like Post, for example, like a big cereal company. Like they have billions of dollars, so they can afford to put it there. So, and then you go to the checkout and they have those ridiculous magazines. Do they still have those? Or they put all the chocolate bars or like chip sales of chips right when you check out. It's because they're playing on the hope that you don't want to think about anything. You'll grab it and drop it in your cart and move on. So that's why it's important for you to pay attention to what you're buying at the grocery store. But my point, what I'm getting at is like once you like that's why a name brand is so important. Like when we do our branding and we do our customer service and we look to hire people, like we want people that believe in our beliefs and our values and align with who we are and what we do, because everyone represents our company. And soon we hope we'll do a good enough job when people hear true form, they're like, oh, that's a good quality product regardless of what it is. So when you start to go to the grocery store, you can start to look at name brands. So now I won't go and read every ingredient. Sometimes I'll pick it up and I'll look at the back and I'll be like, no thanks. But often I'll know the name brand of a company and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I'll grab it. Usually still look at the ingredients. I just glance real quick, put in the cart and go on. But when you're first starting out, you don't know what companies offer what ingredients or what companies offer more value. Most people are looking at gluten free or 10 calories per serving or 0 grams of sugar. What? And then you have like Splenda, that sucralose, that's a toxin that we put in our body, but it says 0 grams of sugar, but we don't pay attention to that ingredient. This says, Sue, you didn't answer me. Does that mean you don't want to answer you're not enjoying our product? Putting you on the spot, Sue. Cool backdrop. Thanks, Mom. And then that's all we got. So I guess that's what I want to explain here. So when it comes to fermented ingredients, I kind of morning Chantel. Chantel's over here on Instagram. So that's when it comes to fermented foods, I suppose. Like for example, we have fermented ingredients in our product, and that's what I want to talk about. Not just about our new protein supplement, but I want to tell you about fermented ingredients as a whole in general that can help that will help improve digestion. So in our vanilla protein, we have pea protein that's fermented, and we also have brown rice protein that's fermented that we use in here. So that will help improve digestion. We also have probiotics in here. We have 2 plant-based probiotics in here as well that will also help improve digestion. So what happens is when you come across a cheaper company or a lower quality company that doesn't want to put more time and effort into their ingredients, for example. So you could have a company that uses pea protein, and by nature, pea protein is known to be harder to digest. And we knew that going in, but a lot of plant-based companies use pea protein because you can increase the nutritional or the protein content. There's a lot of protein in peas, especially the extract, like the pure protein from a pea. But it's well known to cause digestion issues. So we said, well, we don't want to use a pea protein. And then with our manufacturer says, well, what if we use a fermented pea protein? And I was like, that's, excuse me, I'm like, that's genius. Why don't we have other ingredients that are fermented? So then we looked at brown rice protein. And brown rice is something that is another, can increase the protein value as well. So that's why there's 25 grams of protein in here. But the brown rice is fermented as well. So we have at least 2 ingredients in here that are already fermented, which means that will help improve the digestion stage already. So that's why I feel this is such an awesome product. Let's see what we have here. Thanks for the comments, guys. Jen says, I feel like companies are starting to pay attention to cleaner eating, but they still have a long way to go. Yeah, without question. And I think we're more fortunate. I suppose like our the end of our parents or our grandparents, for example, we grew up with gardening, for example. We grew up with having our own gardens. Then there was a quite a long stretch where it was microwaves and fast food. I don't know when there was like a time frame where fast food changed life. It was like Netflix. It'd be funny if someone's watching this in 20 years to see what's new now, but like Netflix changed, like basically shut down Blockbuster Video and all those where you go rent videos. Uber basically shut down the cab industry. And I don't mean shut down completely like Blockbuster, or you can't rent movies anymore. They have these red boxes. I don't know if they have them in Canada, but in the US they have these. I think it's called Red Box. You can still go and put your credit card in and buy and like pick a movie, which is kind of cool. I always like that experience. The 80s, Jen said. But there's a clear period like when McDonald's basically changed the industry, and then everyone started to jump on board, and then it was basically just fast food. And then you have the era of like the latchkey kids where all the parents were working and the kids, of course, they let themselves in. That history kind of stuff interests me. But there's a clear period where fast food and processed food took over, and there wasn't even a thought of how detrimental it is to our health. And then of course the our overall health as a society plummeted, and then more people were overweight, and then we're looking at diabetes, and we're looking at heart condition, and that stuff is going through the roof. And I think now we have, like, we're at a place where we're almost at rock bottom, and things are starting to change. Like Jen was saying, like, we have better companies, more people are supporting local. We have different I'm thinking of the Olds Uptown Market, for example. Like, I've seen a couple of these other ones pop up, or they call them, I don't know how to say, I call them artisan. Dorothy always gives me a hard time. I call artisan. But you have those like handmade type of shops that are popping up, and like, we're huge supporters of local. So we hope that everyone, especially, we know Christmas is coming up. We won't talk about that until at least after Halloween. But we have a lot more people hopefully looking for local and paying attention to the ingredients, because we have more of these companies popping up. So I think it's really nice things are changing. But you have those giant companies, like I think Hershey's is one of them, like, and of course they're a chocolate company, but then I think they bought some other huge company. You know what I recently found out is that Bayer, who is that aspirin company, they bought out Monsanto, which is crazy. Like, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars. And you think about like a huge giant company and then another company buying them, like, it's mind-boggling to me, like how big these companies are and how much money they have. At any rate, Sue says, sorry, yes I am. My leg is healing extremely well also. Awesome. Great to hear, Sue. Sue had a bit of an accident there and is using some of our protein to help heal. They used to have a red box in Olds. We loved using them for our family movie nights. What happened to them, Violet? You know, I was on the East Coast, um, I was visiting my dad, and we actually went to a Red Box and we rented it, and I was like, oh, this is such a cool idea, and I missed those Blockbuster videos. There must be another name for them, but I think Blockbuster was the chain that took over. You know what's funny? You know what's kind of funny is that I'm pretty sure, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure there used to be a bunch of those small kind of mom and pop stores that you can go and buy, or you can go and rent movies from. And can anyone help me out with different names of like brand names that you could purchase from? Because I can only think of Blockbuster right now. But I'm guessing that, see, but this is what happens in business. That's why business is so interesting to me, because it never stops, it never ends. But I'm guessing that there used to be a bunch of those mom and pop, smaller type of places where you could rent videos from. Then Blockbuster kind of took the whole market and bought out all those companies. So those mom and pops had to shut down. And then Netflix changes our whole culture and wipes out Blockbuster, who it was probably a huge giant chain at the time. So I can't, like I said, I can't. That's how much market share they had. Is that I don't even remember any other ones besides Blockbuster where we rented from. I remember Blockbuster because we had one that was like a couple blocks from our house, and every once in a while, mom would give us some money, and we would go up, and when we were kids, we'd go and rent a movie, and yeah, it was a cool experience. You walk around and you pick this one up, you read the back of it. I like that experience. And now it's like you don't even leave your house. You sit in your house and like I spend more time flipping through Netflix, flipping flipping through Netflix because there's so many not very good movies mixed in with a few good ones. So, and I think I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, are we better off now because there's more choices, or are we worse off because it's such a watered down industry? It's almost like the podcasting industry. Like I've been in radio for almost 10 years. Podcasting, I started podcasting a year after radio. And it's like, it's really cool that anyone can podcast and the podcasting world's kind of blowing up. But now it's like, is podcasting watered down because everyone has a show now? And then like, has the quality gone down? I don't know. I don't know about the movie industry either, but it's something that I think about. I'm like, are we really better off? Like, did Netflix really do us a favor? Because now after Netflix, we had like there's Hulu and Amazon Prime, and like Disney has their own thing now. So like, it's not going back. I just think I think it'd be cool if there was like a Blockbuster type in small towns that you could still visit, but not enough people go to them. You know what? I'll get back to the protein in a second here, but you know what? Engine Nation in Calgary shut down. And I'm in LA right now, but I'm coming back to Canada soon. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because here I'm running, riding bike, skateboarding, working out outside. I'm like super active here. And it's a bit harder to be active, at least for me, because I don't love cold weather. I suppose if you're like a skier or snowshoer, you like to be outside and you got lots of stuff to do in the winter, but I'm not really a person that enjoys to be cold very often. So I was trying to think of things to do. Like, what am I going to do to be active and like be inspired day in and day out? Because our winters are cold in Canada. And so I looked up Engine Nation, and they closed. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's on the edge of Calgary, on the north end of Calgary. And I went there for my birthday one time. Yes, as an adult. Dorothy invited a bunch of our friends, and we went there for my birthday. It was so cool, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." I was like, "I'm gonna get a membership." I'll go there as often as I can, and then if you're not sure what I mean, it's like they have ropes and swings and trampolines, and it's like a kid's paradise or a big kid's paradise. And I can't believe they shut down. I'm crushed. Violet says, I don't think it got used enough, so they were pulled. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what happens. If you don't buy products, if people don't buy products, they don't keep using them. We had one in Carstairs called Video Vision. Awesome. There was actually one in Sundre. And I don't even know, like, I wasn't around. I don't think I was around. Like, I didn't go through that area when it was open, but there was one on the corner, and I forget what it was called. But I think even after another company moved in there, they still had this sign up there that said something about movie rental, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But then that business shut down too. So it's tough running a business. I feel like everyone in life should have to run a business to feed themselves and pay their bills for at least an extended period of time. In Europe we have one of our friends. He lived with us for a couple years as a roommate. Still keep in touch with him. Awesome guy. He's from Switzerland, and in Switzerland they have to join the army for a certain amount of time, and I think that's pretty cool. And I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, and I don't really agree with taking choices away from you. But I just think the structure and the learning, and I mean that's for your country. I think it's a really cool idea that everyone has to, or you have to pay a bunch of money. It's kind of, I'm not exactly sure. You don't quote me on this, but you have to pay money out of your paycheck if you don't go there. And I think maybe if you live there every so many years, like every 5 or 10 years, you have to go and do like some kind of boot camp. And like I said, don't quote me. I don't know exactly what that was like, but I think that was a cool idea. I thought, like, what if everyone had to run a business for like a few months or 6 months when they turn 18 or when they turn 21, or just so you know. I think if people knew the challenges of running a business, there'd be more people that would support local, or less people that would just go to the biggest box store, or less people that would just say, "Oh, I'll take the cheapest price." Or people come to us and they're like, "You have any discounts?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to pay my bills." But it's funny is like people come to us because they know us. Like, can I get a sale or a discount? And I'm like, do you go to the box store on the corner of town and ask them for a discount? Probably not. And they have $1 billion in their bank. But anyways, I want to mention fermented foods, which is why I started this video, is because it's so valuable when it comes to digestion. And Canadian Thanksgiving just ended, at least at the time. You may be watching this recorded at another time, but it works at any time because we have Halloween coming up. You can see my background, big Halloween fan, and then we have Christmas coming up, and like there's New Year's. There's always something, and that's why I really feel like that's why we always have digestive issues, is because we always use that as an excuse, like, oh, I'll get to that later, or after this holiday, or after that birthday, I'll start to eat better, or I'll pay more attention to my gut health, and we just don't do it. So some of the things that we can do to improve our gut health, one of the biggest things is add fermented foods to our diet. So I'm a big fan of homemade kombucha. I make it myself. I drink it every single morning. It's the first thing that I have in the morning, with a combination of other things. I'll mention that later. So homemade kombucha, and you can go and buy kombucha now. It's more, how could you say, more prevalent. It's more easily accessible. So we would always suggest buying local if you can. And we do like sunshine blends at Innisfail. And then I think there's some places in Olds that sell it. I think the mass produced ones are more for flavor, not health benefit. So before they used to have like liquid kombucha, and you take like that much of it and it would help improve digestion. Some people take prebiotics, probiotics in pill form. I think like anytime you are using, and of course, sorry, let me finish. Then they had the pills that were like not quite pharmaceutical grade, but like health food store grade. You couldn't buy them anywhere. And then they started, more and more people started making kombucha, and then they're like, oh, so many people are making kombucha, let's just start producing our own. So now we have more and more companies that are popping up all over producing kombucha. So I would say I'm not sure what that means. Sue says COVID. Sorry, I missed that comment. I don't know why I have to scroll up to see my comments. Usually they just pop up. Oh, because of Ingemination shutdown, yeah, and that's the problem. There's a lot of businesses shutting down. It's sad. Like there's a Ruby Tuesdays across the street here. It was like part of our summer, and I didn't go. Like we didn't really go there and eat very often. I try like once in a while. I grab like an ice cream or like a milkshake. It was like a once a summer type of thing. and they had a car show Friday nights, and they have like 50s music, 50s, 60s music. And I love that era. And they had the old cars every Friday. I'd go there every Friday throughout the summer. And they closed down. It was so sad. I was like, and we take these things for granted. And I was like, we would go and support them as much as we can. You know, you go and hang out, and it's a nice atmosphere. And I'd post some pictures, you know. I just felt like since I didn't eat there, maybe I could help them promote in some way. And I really liked the car show. I thought that was a cool thing for the community here. And it shut down. I was so sad. Like I couldn't believe it actually. So, anyways, but there's lots of, yeah, you're right, Sue. There's lots of businesses shutting down. And, and I think there's going to be more. There's going to be more without question. So supporting local, especially with Christmas coming up soon, like it's going to, I really feel like a lot of businesses are holding on for Christmas. And if people choose not to support local and choose not to help those businesses survive, they're not going to. That's all there is to it. So I was just saying that store-bought kombucha is so mass-produced now. I don't know if it has the same nutritional value as if you would make your own, for example. Like I said, we can go to some local places that would have better quality, but I choose to make my own. So I have a SCOBY. It's a bacteria, and I make my own out of black tea and raw sugar. So that's super easy. That's one way you can add fermented foods to your diet. Another one is raw sauerkraut. So if you're buying sauerkraut, so you can make sauerkraut yourself. I have never made it, but I make kimchi. I'll get into that in a second. So you can make your own, and that, like our grandparents used to make sauerkraut. Like I know my grandma did, for example, and that's like a real sauerkraut. If you go to the grocery store and you find one in like a plastic container on the store shelf, cheap container, cheap product, it's sitting on the shelf. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. That's not a health food product. That's more of something you'd put on like a hot dog. Put your sauerkraut on a hot dog, put on some ketchup and mustard, and then you're off. I often think it's entertaining for me to see like how we judge health food types of products. I had someone the other day that was questioning ingredients in some of our products, and I know for a fact they're like a hamburger fast food person like 3 times a week. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying like it's just very interesting for me to be in this field that we're in and see how people react to like clean health food type of products that are questioned and almost investigated. But then you go to the grocery store and you're buying Fruit Loops for breakfast, and we have fast food for dinner, and then a bag of chips and pop in the evening. And then when it comes to a health food product, we're like, are you sure that's clean? And I'm like, trying not to lose my mind. So that was raw sauerkraut. That was sauerkraut. You want raw sauerkraut that needs to be refrigerated all the time. So that's another good quality fermented foods that we would recommend. And then you could look at kimchi, probably next to maybe I wouldn't say kombucha is my favorite. I would just say I use it the most often. Kimchi is my favorite. I love kimchi. I love the spicy. I love the crunchy. I put it on eggs. I put it on stir fries. I could put it on a side of anything. I haven't really made it here in LA. Like we have limited space and utensils, and we live very simply here. We have a bigger kitchen in Olds, and we have more resources, I would say. And we've got a whole spice rack, and it's a bit different. It's different there than here. We have almost 2 different lifestyles. And so anyways, when I'm in Olds, I love to make homemade kombucha, and we have a friend that makes kombucha, or I love to make homemade kimchi, and we have a friend that makes kimchi as well, and she gives me some of hers sometimes. So I love that too. And it's really easy to make. You can look up a super easy kimchi recipe. The problem when you go to the grocery store is there's sugar in it. There's tons of MSG, other toxins and preservatives, colorings that you probably should avoid. So that's kimchi. You could look at fermented soy products like miso soup, for example. That is the only. I think tempeh is also fermented, also as well, but I'd get an organic tempeh and probably an organic miso as well. Those are the only soy products that I would recommend because they're fermented. Those can also help with gut health and good gut bacteria. So those foods that are fermented, they help improve digestion. So if you see a product that says fermented on the label, that's a good thing. I'm trying to think of anything that I've found that's fermented you shouldn't have, and nothing is popping up right now. So that's my recommendation. So again, if you like, I would encourage, actually, if anyone, I would like to know if anyone can find another protein supplement that has fermented products. I would love for someone to be like, yeah, I actually found this product, because I haven't found any yet. And that's not to say there isn't. I'm just saying it's very rare because the ingredients cost more to purchase, which means our markup margin, we make less money on it. And we have, so this is $32. Um, and I've seen companies that sell a product this size for $49. And of course, there's some companies that would sell a product similar to this for $20, but then we have to look at the ingredients, of course. The one that I saw that was really expensive had really cheap ingredients. So their markup is huge and their profit margin is absurd how much money they make on their product. So I guess what I'm saying is that if anyone finds fermented ingredients in a protein supplement, I'd love for you to send them to me because I haven't found any yet. I suppose I could just search fermented protein supplements. Haven't thought of that. I suppose I'm talking about like when you go to hopefully you're not buying your protein at the pharmacy or Costco. Like go to a good quality health food store that knows and can give you advice, or you go to people like us that know about these products and we can tell you like, if you don't want to use ours, maybe this is a better choice for you. So that's definitely an option. But I suppose my main point here today is that fermented foods can actually and will actually help improve your digestion, which is why we use those ingredients in our protein supplement. And we've had some really nice feedback from people that are like, can't believe how well it mixes. This is actually mine right here. This is mine. This is what I do every morning because I don't like so the milk is cold, of course, in the fridge. Every morning I take this out, I pour that much milk into this container, and then I put a scoop of our protein supplement, or vanilla protein, and then I put a scoop of maca in there. Maca is known for natural boosts of energy. The Inca warriors actually used to use maca before a battle. They felt that it gave them energy and stamina. So also for women, it's known as help regulate hormones. It's also adaptogen as well. So if you're missing something, some nutrient in your body, it's a superfood, so it can help fill in those different areas. So I put a little teaspoon of maca in here. I put in our protein, and I just leave this on the counter because I don't like cold. Cold liquids actually cause digestion issues, especially like things like cold water. A lot of people refuse to drink room temperature water, but that causes digestion issues. It also bothers my throat when I drink like cold liquids. So I will make this in the morning and I'll put it on the counter, and then I'll just let it sit there sometimes till the afternoon until it's not so cold. And I usually have mine in the afternoon anyways. So Dorothy likes hers in the morning. Got a couple people that are at here. All right, I'm going to wrap things up anyways. Seems like people have to run, but I'm not sure who's in here with me, but thank you for joining me live. I do have a couple things for you that I want to share with you. Oh, where are you? Oh. Okay, this is especially for those of you still watching. I hope it's not too low. I turned my, what do you call it? Special effects It's called, oh, sound effects. I turned my sound effects down so it wasn't too loud for you guys. I'm not sure who's in here with me on Instagram. I'm just wrapping things up here. I'm messing around with some sound effects. Okay, one more. Oh boy. Halloween is awesome. I'm a Halloween fan. I'm actually going to go jump over on my personal page in about a half hour on Facebook, and I'm going to do an interview with Jessica Mitten. And she just wrote a cookbook and delicious treats. And I want to help her promote, and I want to help raise awareness for her. She's a friend of ours. So if you're still around and you want to jump over, join me on my personal page. And at the top of the hour, I would appreciate that as well. So have a great day. Thanks for joining me this morning. Consider adding fermented foods to your diet, whatever that looks like, and help improve digestion that way. Have a great day.